Rivals.com's Rob Cassidy and Jason Jordan here with the Roundtable on Friday afternoon, as is the case every Friday. And this week we're talking about superlatives from what we saw during the July Live period, the things that we encountered on the road, and some of the better defenders and better facilitators in the country. Who really, there's that question on there about who was the best defender you saw this July. Who did you go with on that, and why, Jason?
I had to go with VJ Edgecombe, man. As good as he was all summer, offensively, most people make a big deal about what they do, scoring the basketball, and obviously he did well in that regard. But I was most impressed with, his ability and his engine, that motor, that energy on the defensive end. Like every game he would take on the top guard on the other team, and it almost. He would approach it like he had something against him, and I love that. Like I love seeing a competitor be competitive. And so, he would clap, he would talk junk, and he's guarding 94 feet. And it was highly effective because on the offensive end, he would give it to him even more, so he would shut them down. I say shut them down relatively, right?
Sure.
But he would shut them down to the point that he was outplaying them, because he would outscore them on the offensive end. And then, he would lock them up on the defensive end, denying the ball, getting deflections, different things like that. So he's definitely the best defender that I saw.
I underranked him, and I told his coach this too. I just did. I got a chance to see him too. I got a chance to see him. I've seen him a bunch of times. So I got a chance to see him in July in Vegas, and his defense. You're right. I mean, the athleticism that he brings to the table, and with the chase down blocks, and he will do something on the defensive end every game, where it kind of opens your eyes like, oh, man. And like I said, he will be moving up again. We moved him up a ton this last time, and it just was not enough. And that's on me. For me, I went with Flory Badunga on that one, just because of the way that he changes the game. I mean, even when he's not blocking shots, which he's doing constantly, you have to game plan for him on the defensive end because he changes anything that comes anywhere near the paint. He's 6'9". I feel like he plays like he's a 7-footer almost, just because of the athleticism and, how high he gets up, the rebounds that he gets, the pressure that he puts in, and the switchability. If you draw him out, he can stay in front of you. Now, I don't want him on a point guard constantly, but if he gets caught in the switch, it's not a big deal. I really think that he's going to be the kind of guy that can step foot on campus, whether it be Duke or Kansas, in his first year and make a splash on the defensive end. We probably have time for one more, I guess. So let's talk about the facilitation question on there. I asked you who the best facilitator you saw. Who was it? Now that Elliot Kadu has moved on, I guess who was the best one you saw in July?
I would have to say Zoom Diallo. A lot gets made about his offensive output, but I really got a chance to watch him in July down there in South Carolina, and people talk about guys that play 3 plays ahead. He definitely plays 3 steps ahead. He's thinking ahead. He throws to areas, and it's usually the right basketball play. Now, does that mean that it translates to assists? But I think he's just he's at a different level than some of his teammates sometimes, depending on the team that he's on. But as far as projection, you can tell that when he gets to the level where everybody's on his wavelength, I think he's going to flourish. So he's definitely the guy that I would say is the best facilitator that I saw in July.
Yeah, I think in the copy in the print, I can't even remember who I went with. I think I went with Ahmad Noel, or Ahmad Noel. But I think Rob Wright is somebody that I want to talk about. I got a chance to see him in July as well, and he's somebody that he has the gaudy assist totals. But the most impressive thing about him to me is just how smart he is with the basketball. He's not gonna, a lot of guys that post those gaudy assist turnovers trust themselves a little too much sometimes, and they'll throw the ball in the first row of the stands. He avoids that. And, I've been impressed with the totality of his game. I think just every time I see him, he seems to get a little better, especially from a facilitation standpoint. And I think Baylor's getting a really good one there, a one that might lack the size to be a prototypical NBA lottery guy, but I think does enough things well on both sides of the court, including setting his team up for success, that he might give himself a shot in that regard. Yeah. I guess that's enough for us, though, Jay. I mean, anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I'm definitely going to co-sign the Rob Wright thing. Definitely love his feel. Definitely love his pace. So I'm definitely co-signing all that.
All right. Sounds good, man. We'll try this again next week. All right.
Absolutely.